Math 20s, this is a chapter 2 video, lesson 2.1, first example, first video. So we're going to talk about angles in standard position. So first of all, we're going to start off with just with a regular set of x and y axis. The initial arm, in other words, the place where we're going to start drawing every angle is the same all the time. It's the positive x-axis, that place right there. So if somebody says, draw me a 60-degree angle in standard position, I start with that initial arm. I start going upward 60 degrees. Once I get to 60 degrees, I draw what's called the terminal arm. So that angle would look like that. Now, if somebody said draw a bigger angle, an angle of 260 degrees, I would still start in the exact same place. Initial arm, same spot, but I have a much bigger rotation. So I say 90, 180, 270 is too big, so I'm just right about there. Again, we're not using rulers, protractors, but close enough. I'm in the right quadrant. And I have my terminal arm located there. Now I mentioned quadrants. Because of the way we rotate through these, the quadrants are numbered in a funny way. The initial arm is where it is, so if you think about rotating through the quadrants, you'd go through quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4 in that order, and so that's why the quadrants are labeled quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4 that way. So the terminal arm of 260 degrees is in quadrant 3. Now, if somebody gives you a question in 2.1 and says, draw 325 degrees in standard position. Again, start with the initial arm in the same spot. You rotate 325 degrees from there in a positive direction, meaning rotating counterclockwise, and you get almost all the way around the circle. Not quite all the way around, that would be 360, so a little bit less, but certainly terminates in quadrant 4. That's an important piece that they'll ask you, where does it terminate? Now, another little thing that's important, in fact, very important as you go through Math 20 and into 30, is something called the reference angle. Now, a reference angle is always the angle from the terminal arm to the closest x-axis. So in other words, from this terminal arm to the nearest x-axis, not all the way back, rotating all the way back where we came, but how far would this be away from here? How many degrees? So in this case, I can subtract that and say, okay, my reference angle, that must be 35 degrees, because it's 35 degrees less than a full rotation. Had I come all the way back here to 260 degrees, and somebody says, oh, what's the reference angle of 260? I can see that I had to go that far past 180, which is 80 degrees. So my reference angle would be 80 degrees in that case. Easiest angles to do reference angles for are acute angles, because this is a 60-degree angle. It's in a 60-degree reference angle as well.